Hey guys, welcome back to the Deal Finders Club podcast. I just finished recording this podcast and I'm so excited for you to listen to it because we dive into a hard money business and kind of what does that look like, who should be calling and looking for hard money, and how can you get started in your business using hard money. We're going to talk through that with our friend Wendy from Carolina Hard Money. So great podcast. Y'all take some notes. Listen, if you have questions, put them in the comments, send me a DM, whatever you need to get to us so that we can answer the questions. That's what we're here for. We want to help you get your business going. At Deal Finders, we are here to help you connect, learn, and build. So let's jump into this podcast and do that for you. See ya. Bye. All right, guys, welcome back to the Deal Finders Club podcast. Yes, we have an amazing guest today. Something that everyone's going to be interested in, which is money. So, Wendy, we really should just jump straight to that, right? But we're going to see who you are, where you are in just a minute. But guys, we have our friend Wendy Sweet from right here in the Carolinas, doing business right here locally with us, and of course regionally. So, Wendy, I'm not going to steal your thunder. I want you to give the listeners kind of your 30-second history of who you are, where you are, and what you do. And then we're going to dive into some, how did you get started in real estate?
Awesome. Well, 30 seconds is you're probably too short.
You take a minute.
I'm just kidding. So, of course, my name's Wendy Sweet. I have a company with my brother called Carolina Capital Management. We have two funds, Carolina Capital Reserve Fund 1 and Fund 2. We stayed up all night thinking of the names of that. And we lend money to investors. Carolina Hard Money is actually what we do business under, but we lend money to investors that are fix and flip or buy and hold, whether they're commercial, single family, anything multi-tenanted. We do bridge loans and all that good stuff. So we are in the lending business. And what I love about it is that I have that 30,000-foot view of everything that goes on in a deal. So boy, it's a great way to learn about the business if you don't already know about it.
Oh, yeah.
It's see all the mistakes that everybody makes. It's even when you're doing everything right.
Yeah.
It's amazing what you can learn being in that position to be able to see it all.
Yeah. How did you get started in like lending hard money? Was this just you woke up one day or straight out of college? Like what kicked you off into this?
No. Does anybody do anything they go to college for?
No, absolutely not.
I think so. I don't think so. Anyway, no, I this was actually my third career. I was in the hospitality business to start off with, in the hotel business. And then from that, I got into the golf industry where I put together membership programs and golf membership packages for golf courses across the country. And when I was 40, I had my first baby. And I did not want to work. So I was going to be a stay-at-home mom. And my husband was going to be, the big working kahuna. And that lasted about 2 months because it was hard for me to stay at home and not work. It was really hard for me to do that.
Yeah.
Plus, I was in a position where I was able to make the money that we like, this lifestyle that we like to be living in. Let's put it that way. So I went back to work, and he actually turned into a stay-at-home dad. It turned out to be a great setup because he's a great dad. But when we did that, I went to work with my brother. My brother, who I'm in business with now, had a something called a net branch company, and that net branch was a branch of a really large lender that had other mortgage companies send all of their loans to them to do the lending on. They're like the big guys that do the big loans.
Yeah.
So he taught me what they were doing, and they specialized in investor loans. Investor loans at that time, this is conventional now.
Yeah.
Investor loans at that time were the hardest ones to get done. So I went to work for him, calling on different mortgage companies to get them to send us the investor loans. So I learned investor loans first. Wow. I didn't realize they were the hardest ones to get.
Yeah.
So I ended up, one of the companies I would call on is Financial Help Services. It was owned by Larry Goins, and you may know who he is.
Yes.
great teacher and speaker. And so Larry Goins was the owner of the company. I called on him and I told him, I said, Larry, there is a group here in town called Metrolina RIA. It's a real estate investor association. I know that if I can get my foot in the door, that I can get a lot of business out of that.
Yeah.
Do you know anything about it? He had his feet up on the desk. And he said, well, matter of fact, I'm the president.
That's what I was going to say. It's probably him, right?
Yeah. So it worked out really well. Within, I don't know, 2 weeks, I quit working for my brother and I went to work for Larry. Larry, got me into that meeting and I came back with over 30 loans that month.
Wow.
Just to do. So he let go of all his other mortgage brokers and he made me his business partner. Wow. What an opportunity he gave me.
What a great
opportunity. But he had an ulterior motive because I took over the lending business and then he started writing the ultimate buying and selling machine, which was his first big product that he put out there.
Yeah.
And it was great that the program that he did, it was really great. But at that time, I'm doing all these conventional loans. People would call me for a loan. There'd be two kinds of people. The person that had money in the bank or self-directed IRA money or both.
Yeah.
They weren't that great at finding deals, but they had money. They'd easily qualify. And then I had these other people that were trying to get loans for investor properties, and they could find houses like crazy. They were really good at it, but they didn't qualify for the loans. So I started brokering the money between them. And I didn't even know it was called hard money. This was in 2001. I didn't even know it was called hard money. Didn't know it had a name until I was, I don't know, a couple years into it and about $10 million into it. Yeah. By that time, I had about $10 million of other people's money, self-directed money that I was just brokering it for. That was back in the day when it was 5 points and 15%. So I was keeping the 5 points and they were getting the 15%, and I was collecting the money and sending it. It was a crazy puzzle, but that's the way it happened.
Yeah. Wow.
So I'd love to say that it was, me conspiring and I had this great idea and epiphany but it fell in my lap.
Yeah. Well, like you mentioned, our friend Larry, what a great teacher, mentor to many people, but
yes,
especially obviously for you. So that's fabulous. So there's a couple things I have to hit on, and y'all, if you're listening to this for the first time, you can watch us. We're on YouTube. But this podcast is on all the audio places as well. So make sure you like and subscribe, and we'll give you Wendy's contact info at the end because I know you're going to want it here shortly. But one thing we did not talk about, or we haven't talked about, is the fact that I also was in the hospitality business. I was managing hotels.
Wow.
And so,
well, I was your sales director.
I knew I was going to ask what you did over there, but you are a perfect fit for that hospitality salesperson. So I left that in 2018, completely, retired from that to do real estate. So that's funny. And then just so happens I'm wearing my dad's shirt today. I don't know if
I love it.
So, the shirt that Michelle got me, I think for Father's Day. So I love that your, husband stayed home. I love my kids, would love to be with them all the time, but I don't think I could do that. So more power to him.
Yeah. I give him big kudos for it. But I wish that it could have been me.
Yeah.
But it worked out the way it needed to work out.
Yeah.
He's a great dad, and they're all out of jail. So they're good.
Short sentences is good for people.
That's right. They'll turn out all right.
That's right. So I wanted to make sure we hit on that because this is very, very interesting of how you got into real estate and how I got into real estate. But it also just talks back to how real estate is a business. There's many facets, many places where you can fit in, but your background could be absolutely anything. Engineers,
That's
doctors, right. And hospitality people, So we always talk about that. Like people, are like, well, what kind of experience do I need? Well, really none. If you can find the deals or find the money or build the house. Like if you can find out how to do one of those, you're probably going to be all right. So that's a great story. I want to ask you, kind of go back to the beginning. Did you did you do any like investing in property, or were you always
absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. So, I did, when I was in the golf business, I started out, I was in Florida at the time, and I had bought 3 houses that I lived in. And when I moved out, I kept the house and rented them out.
Perfect.
And at the time, I didn't realize that you were actually supposed to make money doing that. I was just thrilled that I was making my mortgage payments from somebody else making those payments. Yeah. It really wasn't until 2001 when I really got into the industry that I understood, there's a formula for this. You should be in it. It's no more than 70%. There's, the return every month, you have to include vacancy and repairs and all of those things. It's not something that I really realized until I got into the business. And I learned that stuff. Here's what's really cool about it.
Yeah.
As a mortgage broker, it was my job to go to all the RIAs in North and South Carolina.
Yeah.
That's how I picked up my business. I got to sit in front of national speakers at 5 or 6 different events every month.
Oh my gosh.
Every month. And I got to go to all the subgroup meetings and listen to what all the other people were doing. So it was like getting just a pounding of education and being able to see. I love what you said about it doesn't really matter what your experience is. I love that what you said, or what you're good at. Are you an engineer? Because an engineer is completely different than a salesperson. That's totally different sides of the brain that you're using. Both are important.
Yeah.
Both are good to have. And I love that you brought that up, because the other thing that really just blew my mind and continues to is all of the different types of real estate that are out there. Mm-hmm. It's amazing. Just even if you just want to be a landlord, how many different types of rentals can you have?
Yeah.
Short term, mid-term, corporate, long term. I mean, it's amazing. The pad split where you're renting by the room.
Yep.
I mean, and that's just a little part of landlording for residential. Then you go over to commercial or industrial commercial. It's just amazing the opportunities that are out there, that you can just test it all out till you figure out what it is that you're really passionate about.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's one thing. So we have our local meetup here, our local, it's a meetup. It's a local event that we do basically something every week. And so often we have that conversation where people come, they realize that real estate is the land of opportunity, for lack of a better term, but where they see the tax benefits and the cash flow and the wealth generation and all the things that are available. But then they see just one or two, like, I want to be a landlord. And they come in like, okay, I want to have some rentals. And then what we do is, just from our experience, is I say, let's dive a little deeper. Let me talk to you, because we do coach and partner with people to build businesses. So that I want to own rentals thing is, it's so big, like you just said.
Right.
Well, do you really want to own rentals, or do you just want some cash flow? Because if you don't really want to deal with toilets and termites and tenants, and then maybe you should be a lender, or maybe you don't want, maybe you want the cash flow and storage facilities is the way to go, So every person has a place in real estate that will fit their life, fit their goals. It just takes some real deep diving into who you are and what you want out of it. And we do that locally for people in our at our events, and even you don't have to be local. We just do it over the phone. But
right,
a big piece of what you're talking about, those local RIAs, is when you got to listen to so many people teaching. You probably didn't. I can guarantee you didn't hear the same message twice.
Never, ever. And if I did hear it twice, it was something I needed to hear twice. That's right. Means I didn't get it the first time, right?
Well, you'll hear 70%, right? You'll hear that a lot.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. I do that through my Wednesdays with Wendy that I do, which is just a free one-on-one session that I offer for 30 minutes. But that's the first thing that I do is really ask people about their goals. I don't care how long you've been in this business, your goals change, right? Because your life changes. Your kids are a different age now, and, or you're getting close to retirement. Everybody's in a different path, on a different place on their path.
Yep.
And that path it's a moving object. You're always having to make changes with that. So your goals are going to change.
That's right.
And the ways that you get there are going to change. And you need to think about that. And I love that you said, I want to be a landlord. Yeah. What does that really mean? Do you need to eat money? Or are you trying to build wealth?
Yeah.
You trying to get a college education set up? Let's talk about what it is that you want to do.
Yeah.
And then work your way backwards into how to do it.
Yes. I love that. I love that you do that as well. And I want to make sure I make a note of this as well. You say you do that Wednesdays with Wendy, but you also have a sunrise.
Mm-hmm.
That's a free call, right? Or
it is.
Event.
It is. And it's a group. It's Sunrisers. It's a faith-based group.
Yeah.
So we started off with a 15-minute devotional, and then we do a 5-minute market update on rates and, what the government's doing this moment in time.
Yeah.
And then we bring on a speaker. And it could be, it's just a multitude of people. I've had Tom Kroll on there.
Yeah.
I've had, like this Friday is going to be Anna Kelly. She's really good with commercial stuff. One of the smartest women I know. I've got Lou Brown coming on, Damon Remy with REI Black Book. They're all coming up within the next few weeks, but and I want you to get on there too.
Oh yeah.
That's what's so cool about these masterminds that we're involved in is we meet people that are just, our icons, successful, and we get they're just like way smart. Yeah. And they're all willing to come on and share what they know with a group of investors who are just there to learn.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
I love it. The mastermind we're part of, and probably multiple, we've crossed paths before, but we always encourage that we encourage local, get to know your local market, but then also learn from other people doing similar or, the same thing in other markets, because everybody's a little bit different. You can always continue to learn. So, I want to just real quick. So one thing I always talk to our audience here about is getting that first deal in real estate. And so you did it like a lot of people do. And again, we have very similar stories where you bought a house, you lived in it, and then rented it out with this notion of, if the mortgage gets paid, it's great. I did that. We did that. My wife and I did it for 7-8 years of we had 4 or 5 houses. And my thought was, because I was in hospitality with no retirement plan or anything, I was like, in 30 years, these tenants will just keep paying the mortgage. In 30 years from now, we'll have a house that can give us something, and that'll be when I retire. And it was mind-blowing when I finally found an agent friend of mine gave me a book called Hold, and it taught basically how to underwrite, how to look at rental houses and see, can I make money today? And it was
that was Gary Keller's book.
Yeah.
With
the yellow one.
Yeah, Keller Williams.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it was just mind blowing to like, oh wait, this is a business today. Like, we can actually make money now and do something with this. And so that was a few years of kind of playing with that. Michelle and I were also in the middle of like 3 kids in the 4-year span, so all that was kind of a blur. But finally, real estate became a business to us, not just something to think about in retirement, put money away and not touch it. So very similar. So you just did the house hack before it had a term as well.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
I think one of the things that holds a lot of people back first is, and they may not even own their own home at this point, but the fear of, first of all, fear doesn't come from God, so remember that. But the fear of taking out a loan to buy a house that you don't have it rented out yet, and you've got to fix it up, So that's what hard money does is you borrow the money to buy it and fix it up. So you have the money to do that. Yeah. in that loan, but the fear of just taking that step, it's scary. So the biggest mistake a lot of people make is, well, I'm just going to save up the cash. I'm going to do it out of what I have saved up in cash, and I'll put it on credit cards, and I'll do most of the work myself so I don't have to pay a contractor to do that. And on top of that, I'm going to buy a really inexpensive house so I'm not in a whole lot of debt.
Yeah.
Every single one of those things is just putting a nail in your coffin.
Yeah. Those are the worst decisions. So I'm glad you went through that. Tell us, what does it look like from your 20 years experience in hard money and doing these loans? What does a new investor need to like get through their thick skull, like I would say to my kids, right? Like, what do they got to know?
So the first thing they have to know is that their time is valuable.
Yeah.
Now, is their time being valuable? Is their valuable time smart to be swinging a hammer or putting grout in the tile, or is it finding new deals, making sure your contractor's doing what they're supposed to do, looking for the next one, to come along? What's my exit strategy? Because you get into it with your brain, not your brawn. That's what you need to be doing. So that's number one, is making sure that you understand how valuable your time is, and you need to understand how valuable other people's time is and the work that they do. Yeah. You pay somebody what they're worth. Don't pick the cheapest guy out there. That's usually the biggest mistake. They're cheap for a reason. They can't find work because they can't be counted on, or they do subpar work. So the thing is don't try to keep, a really tight control over everything you do by doing it yourself. Take advantage, not advantage, but use the team that you have around you. Yeah. Think of the people, the contractor, the subcontractors that you're hiring, the real estate agent that you might be using, the coach that you should be following what they tell you to do.
Right.
Don't hire a coach and not do what they tell you to do. Does that ever happen to you?
Yes.
It's amazing. Yeah. So the thing is to use that team, because that team is there to lift you up, to encourage you to do the job that they're supposed to be doing, so that you are all successful. And you can't do that by trying to keep really a tight hold on it and making decisions that are not good ones, that don't fit what you should be doing. Yeah. The better people you have on your team, and they're not your employees. Everybody says, well, I don't have any employees. That's not what I'm talking about. Everybody that you deal with in this business is part of your team. If you know another investor that you see that's successful, in your head, make them part of your brain trust. Yeah. Think of them as being on your board, so you bounce off of them. And don't be embarrassed or ashamed if you make bad decisions or if something bad goes wrong. Yeah. That's why you have this brain trust, because believe me, we've all been through it, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Through it.
Like I said at the beginning, before we even started recording, that real estate is like a field with a bunch of piles of poo, and you're going to step in them, every one of them at some point, sometimes twice. And I always say I've replaced a lot of shoes.
That's right.
From doing that. But I'm smarter with every pile I step in.
You go further, less deep, right?
That's right.
That's
right.
But you get the hard money there to get new shoes, right? That's what it's all about.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. But the thing is, I don't step in those piles and then hide the fact that I did it.
Yeah.
I tell everybody, oh, let me show you what I just did.
Yeah.
I really messed this one up. Let me tell you what I did.
Yeah.
And I'm not bragging that I'm an idiot. I'm telling you this because I want you to not have to do it.
Yeah.
I want you to avoid the mistakes that I made. There's plenty others out there to be made. Take the advice of the people that are out there to help you.
Yeah. I love that. So I think I say this all the time. I feel like I do anyway. And I think about where I started 2007, getting the first house. I did want to be able
scary time.
Yeah, right. And overpaying for it because I didn't know what I was doing. I've made every mistake in the book. Bought it from the agent that had it listed, didn't negotiate, didn't inspect, all this stuff. Did the work myself, right? And I wanted to have that as an investment. That's really all I knew. I was thinking long term, but had zero direction. I had no idea what I was doing. I did not have podcasts like this and local groups like the one that we run and the ones that you do. And I had zero clue. So I made every single mistake. And it took literally 8 years before I even knew I was in a business. I didn't even know I was doing something that was
Good point.
in a business in all of that time. And I think back, what if 8 years ago I was in a meetup, I was in a local group where I was on podcasts and, Bigger Pockets going through all that and our Deal Finders Club and stuff like that. And what if those 8 years was me actually learning from people that had already made all those mistakes and people that already knew it was a business and they knew how to build it, and they could tell me, dude, you're not doing that right. You're not going to make a business out of this. You're going to lose money here. Don't do that. Do this instead. Oh, here's a hard money lender. They'll help you go faster.
Right.
What about those? Because I was young.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I had so much more energy. So I'm grateful for the people that I have surrounded myself with, like Tom Kroll and the people that we have friends now that encourage what we're doing here, so that the people that are now getting started are starting further ahead. And that's just, I love that. I love seeing that. I love seeing them skip all the piles of poo that you and I stepped in all through the years. So I'm so thankful.
People constantly ask too, well, why are you doing this for free? What do you get out of it? They constantly ask that. You know what? We are all better off when everybody else is doing well. Yep. The way people look at real estate investors, we used to have a really bad name. Yeah. We used to have a really bad name. People didn't like real estate investors at all. But now that there's a lot more education available and people can hire coaches and get into groups, all kinds of things, they're better educated. We're all better off when we're better educated on what we're doing.
I love that. That's a great point. We're gonna have to start wrapping it up here, but I want to give you the chance to kind of tell anybody anything you want to tell about your business. How can they reach you? Who is the best person to reach out to you? What do you want to say about that?
Well, we kind of serve two interests. If you're an investor, you want to be a passive investor, you have self-directed IRA or 401k, something like that, and you want to invest it as a lender where you're collateralized. We have opportunities for you to be able to do that, investing in funds or buying a partial note from us, that kind of thing. But we also lend money all over the Southeast. We love looking at deals. There's, if I can't help you, I'm going to push you to somebody who can.
Yeah.
If it's a deal, otherwise I'll talk you out of it. Yeah. Tell you, no. This is I like that you're doing the homework, but this isn't going to work.
Yeah.
So I love that. And we do loans. $3 million and under is about what we're into. We do apartments and self-storage facilities and all kinds of stuff like that. But our bread and butter is the fix and flip. We also do the buy and hold. Now, as far as we're all about education, our company, we're all about education. It's easier for us if we're working with people who are smarter and better at what they do. So we want to do everything we can to put that in that position, put them in that position. So I do this Wednesdays with Wendy, which is a 30-minute mentoring session that they can sign up for, and they're one-on-one individual Zoom meetings that we'll do. And then on Fridays, I host that Sunrisers group.
Yeah.
Every Friday, anybody can come. We'd love to have you. It's just we'll have 80 or 90 people on the call, and it's just a great group of people that and, you know, we are believers who happen to do real estate. So
Yes.
it's a really great way to build your network. And that's what this business is all about. The better your network is,
Yeah.
the better your net worth will be, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So we'll give people your contact info kind of in the show notes. Is there a website that we should look at?
Yep, carolinahardmoney.com.
That's easy enough. Easy enough. Well, Wendy, this has been phenomenal. It's so great to chat with you, get to talk to you a little bit more about your history and where your company is now and all the awesome things you're doing for new and experienced investors. That is just, what we're here to do. We're here to serve others. And I just love what you're doing with that. So, if you have a question or you just really, if you do want to dive in and do that Wednesday with her, do it. Like, use the resources that are out there. We have our dealfindersclub.com /resources. There's a lot of stuff there, negotiation tips to contracts, whatever you need. We have it out there. You can come to any of our local events. We do it here in Columbia, South Carolina, and we service and help investors throughout the state. So if that's you, we'd love to see you come down. Check us out again at dealfindersclub.com. Until next time, y'all go out there and find yourself a deal. See ya.
Thanks for listening to the REI Deal Finders podcast. You can find out more and apply to be a part of the REI Deal Finder community at reidealfinders.club.